Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is Ron's Amazing Stories. We have stories that should thrill you a little and chill you a little.
It's amazing.
What you'll hear are adventures sent in by you guys, classic stories from the pulp mags, and episodes from the golden age of radio. We have special segments like Ghost Stories with Sylvia.
That's amazing.
And These Are Your Stories. So settle in for the next hour and enjoy the show. One more thing. You just might want to prepare yourself to be taken away from today.
Another 5-minute mystery.
This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by mathematics.
An odd choice. It just doesn't add up.
Funny. The truth is, engineers think that equations are an approximation of reality.
Oh?
And physicists think that reality is an approximation to their equations.
And what about mathematicians?
Well, they don't care.
It is after showtime in a downstairs restaurant in Lower New York. Pat Logan, private detective, and his girl Friday, Diana Bellows, are out for an evening's entertainment.
2 more, Tony.
Sure, Mr. Logan. You have it right away.
Oh, Pat, isn't it wonderful? The whole evening to ourselves. No murders, no robberies. Nothing but fun.
Well, I promised you this evening out, didn't I? As soon as the Morrison case was closed.
I know, Pat. I think maybe that's why I like you so.
Like me?
Well, maybe a little more.
Mr. Logan, Mr. Logan.
Yes, Tony, what's the matter? No more antipasto?
No, Mr. Logan, it's worse than that. Something terrible.
Well, what is it? What's happened?
In the back room, Joe Matelli, the owner of this place. He's just been shot.
All right, Tony. And you, Mr. Koski. I'd like to talk to both of you in here. Diane, the coroner will be here any minute. He might need your help.
All right, Pat, I'll go wait for him.
Now then, let's get this story straight. Mr. Koski, Tony tells me you discovered the body.
That's right. I just left Joe not more than 3 or 4 minutes before. He'd been in a depressed mood for days over some money he owed, but the suicide really gives me a turn.
How soon would you say you got to the body after the shot was fired, I mean?
Oh, just a matter of seconds. I was in the next room when I heard the shot. I ran in just as Joe was slumping to the floor.
And the gun, this gun right here, was in his hands.
That's right, Mr. Logan. It dropped right then when he fell.
Uh-huh. And you, Tony?
Yeah, I heard the shots, too, just as I was coming up from the wine cellar. When I come in, Koski was standing over Joe.
Mm-hmm. I noticed this gun is a police special, the regulation kind for the police department. Anyone know how come it came to be in Joe's possession?
Yeah, he had it for some time, Mr. Logan. He had a brother-in-law in the force and borrowed it for protection.
And now he uses it to commit suicide with. Rather ironic, I should say.
Yeah, it is, all right.
Pat.
Yes, Diane.
The coroner just removed the bullet. He thought you'd probably want to look at it. Here it is.
Yes. Fine. 45 caliber. Fired at close range.
If you want anything more, I'll stick
Hey,
around.
wait a minute. Diane, you're sure this is the bullet? The suicide bullet itself?
Well, of course, Pat. Why not?
Just that this little bullet changes the whole picture.
What do you mean?
Just this, Mr. Koski. Joe Matelli didn't commit suicide any more than I did. He was murdered.
I thought there was something funny here.
Murder?
Yes, Mr. Koski, murdered. And I think you're in for another surprise right on top of that one. Because you're under arrest, Koski, for that same murder.
So the supposed suicide was murder after all, and Mike Koski is under arrest. Do you know the clue? In a moment we'll hear, but first...
Mike Kluski is being held for the murder. I know he's guilty, but I have no idea why.
How are you with math?
Not too bad. Why?
Take a look at the numbers.
Well, the only number I remember was that the bullet was a 45 caliber.
And what about the police special?
Oh, hey, I see now there's a 7 caliber difference.
Now you got it.
45 minus 38 equals 7.
It just doesn't add up, does it?
Nope, 7 is not even.
It is, if you remove the S.
And now, back to our mystery.
What's the matter with you, Logan? Everything checks, doesn't it?
Yes, Koski, everything checks. You testified when you entered the room a moment before Mutelli fell to the floor. This suicide gun was still in his hands.
So what?
That gun was not the death weapon, Koski, and this bullet proves it. You might be interested to know all regulation police guns, like the one Mutelli was supposed to have killed himself with, are 38 calibers. And this bullet, the death bullet, is a 45. It just wouldn't fit.
Don't say it.
Say what?
I know you. You were going to make a lame quote about an acquittal.
How did you know?
I just did.
Well, you're wrong. I was going to ask if we had a civilization on the moon and someone committed murder, would the punishment still be the same?
No, the gravity of the situation would be way less.
What's that you said?
Well, here we are, back with another podcast, and it's a full one. So much stuff, in fact, that I really don't have time to say much this week, except welcome to the podcast and enjoy the show. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories. Audible has sponsored the show now since July of 2019. We have reviewed more than 140 audiobooks, and the list keeps growing. Did you know that Audible has over 200,000 books available? And a lot of those are included in the free catalog. Audible is amazing, and it is the perfect companion to Ron's Amazing Stories. If you like this podcast, you're going to love Audible. So what am I listening to? He Who Fights with Monsters, Book 1 by Shirta Loon and Travis Deverell. It's narrated by Heath Miller. Jason wakes up in a mysterious world of magic and monsters. There is a new genre of books out there. The LIT RPG, which is short for literary role-playing games, combines the conventions of computer games with science fiction and fantasy novels. The term was introduced in 2013. The Lit RPG uses game-like challenges to form an essential part of the story and even uses visible statistics, for example, strength, intelligence, damage, are all a significant part of the reading experience. This is different from novels based on actual games like Halo and Resident Evil. Typically, the main character in a Lit RPG novel is consciously interacting with the game or game-like world and is attempting to progress or level within it. The main characters are transported into a game-like world from our world and can also remember the real world. Now, I know that sounds confusing, and I have to tell you that these types of books are incredibly hard for me to read. However, the audiobook version is nothing short of amazing. Our book today is one of these Lit RPGs. He Who Fights with Monsters begins with our hero Jason. It's not easy making the career jump from office supply store middle manager to heroic interdimensional adventurer. At least Jason tries to be heroic, but it's hard to be good when all of your powers are evil. Here's a clip from the opening of this amazing story.
Jason woke up naked, face down in the grass. That was not how he expected to wake up, since he had gone to sleep in his own bed and his own Darth Vader boxer shorts. From the feel of the cool grass on his unmentionables, he had been removed from his bed and shorts both. The last thing he recalled was doing what he did most nights, playing video games until he got tired and then fumbling his way into bed. The grass he woke up on was weirdly comfortable, a dense bed of lush green softness. It wasn't like any grass he had encountered before, which was a little unusual. His father was a landscape architect, and Jason had grown up learning more about grass than he ever wanted to know, mostly because it was the only escape from his mother's Japanese lessons. Jason rolled himself over and sat up. He was feeling odd, beyond just the unusual circumstances. It wasn't a bad sensation, more like waking up after a really long sleep. There was the lingering sopor, but also a feeling of refreshed energy. He ran a hand over his head, only to be startled when he realized his hair was missing. He felt about his head with both hands, but his head was balloon smooth. He made a quick check with his eyes and hands, realizing there was no hair anywhere on his body. No eyebrows, nothing on his chest, or arms, or other places. I thought it was meant to look bigger when you trimmed. He pushed himself to his feet and started assessing his environment. Casting his gaze to the sky, he saw that the sun was high and the air was warm. The sky was unbroken blue, the blazing orb burning away so much as the merest hint of cloud. Sunburn, more than cold, was likely to threaten his exposed extremities. Looking around, he saw that he was boxed in between two long, tall hedges. Glancing up and down the dead straight lane, side junctions headed off at sharp right angles in either direction. The lane itself was wide and grassy, with plenty of room for unconscious sprawling. The hedge walls were meticulously trimmed. After an unhappy glance down at his bald, naked body, he set off at random to explore. He quickly discovered he was in a hedge maze, the living walls cultivated to almost twice Jason's height. Jason's first thought was to climb one to get a better sense of his location, but a closer examination of the hedges changed his mind. Instead of the usual boxwood, the hedges were something very prickly, and he was very naked. He looked up and down the path he was on, with neither direction looking any better than the other. What the bloody hell is going on? As if in response to his question, something appeared in front of him. It looked like a touchscreen, floating in the air, disembodied. He reached out to touch it with an experimental finger, the screen shimmering as his finger passed straight through. Hologram? He looked at the ground and nearby hedges for some kind of projector, but as he started moving, the screen followed. There was text on the screen, which he read. New quest. Stranger in a strange land. You have awoken in a place you do not know. Explore the area to discover more. Objective. Explore the hedge maze. 0 of 1. Reward. Simple pants. Huh. He looked around suspiciously. He carefully probed the pointy foliage of the hedge walls, looking for hidden cameras. Looking up at the sky, he didn't spot any camera drones. What he did notice was the moon, pale and easy to overlook in the daylight. Then he noticed another moon. That can't be right. Jason looked down at the floating screen, then back up at the sky. Still 2 moons. Am I going nuts? Jason sat down on the grass, unsure what to do. He kept glancing up at the sky and the extra moon. In front of him, the screen still waited patiently. This is crazy. I mean, a quest? I'm not a level 1 sorcerer. Another screen appeared next to the first. Jason Asano. Race, Outworlder. Current rank, normal. Progression to Iron rank, 0%, 0 of 4 essences. Attributes, power, no essence, normal. Speed, no essence, normal. Spirit, no essence, normal. Recovery, no essence, normal. Racial abilities, Outworlder. Interface, Quest System, Inventory, Map, Astral Affinity, Mysterious Stranger. Essences 0 of 4. No essence, no attribute, 0 of 5. 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 Is this a character sheet? Am I meant to understand any of this? He shook his head in bewilderment. It could have at least gone with a game system I know. He looked over the screen again. Map, he read, latching onto something familiar. I know what maps are. How do I see the map? A new screen obligingly appeared. But as it was the third screen, the space in front of him was getting crowded. He absently thought it would be convenient for the other screens to close, which they immediately did. I'm sure that's good. Things were getting harder to explain away, even ignoring the extra moon. Some kind of voice command hologram was implausible but not impossible. Mental command holograms were something else entirely. I'm becoming increasingly concerned. Also, I'm talking to myself a lot. I'm sure that's fine, and definitely not a defense mechanism to stave off panic.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to love the rest of the book. Jason will face off against cannibals, cultists, wizards, monsters. And that's just the first day. He's going to need courage. He's going to need wit. He's going to need some magical powers of his own. But first, he's going to need pants. After cementing itself as one of the best-rated serial novels on Royal Road with an astonishing 13 million views, He Who Fights with Monsters is now brought to you in a professionally formatted audiobook. And if that appeals to you, head to audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories, and you can have it for free. Here's what Audible has set up for us. They are offering a free audiobook and 30 days to give you the opportunity to check out their service. This also gains you access to the included catalog, which is updated constantly with new titles. So, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories. Thank you, Audible. And now, it's time for your stories.
These are your stories, sent by you, for you.
Our first story comes from Apple Sharon of Boston. I wrote back to Apple about her name. She told me that her parents met in an apple orchard the night that she came into being. They decided that that would be her name. For the record, her full legal name is Apple Orchard Sharon. And here is her story. Hey Ron, so this happened a bit ago. I was in my high school production of Oklahoma. We had a cast party the last night at the school. My friends and others were there from about 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Near the end of the night, I left the party to go to the bathroom. As I was in the cubicle, I heard a man and woman speaking just outside the door. As far as I knew, I was the only one in there. I was nervous, so I kept quiet. They just wouldn't leave. Finally, I decided to let them know I was in there. Everything went quiet, but I didn't hear the bathroom door open or close. I slowly opened the stall door and found the room completely empty. I headed back to my friends only to see them all bolting down the stairs towards me. They had all heard strange noises and screaming. Even the drama teacher and chaperones came flying out of the party room. A few of us went back up there to check things out. There was no one up there, and no one downstairs either, so we decided to end the party and go home. I never found out why or whatever happened. Apple Sharon, Boston, Massachusetts. Well, Apple, that is an amazing story. An entire party of people having the same experiences got to be so very rare. I don't think we've ever had anything like this on the podcast before. I guess it could have been a major prank, but that doesn't explain your experience. So very strange. Thank you for sharing it. This next story comes from Brinks302. Sorry, that's all I have. I do believe that Brinks is female and probably lives in or near Chicago. The IP address indicated that. Brinks has titled her story, The Terrible Two. Hi, Ron. Due to a completely separate spooky child situation that I've recently experienced, my sister recounted an incident that she had years ago with her then boyfriend's nephew. When she was in her late teens, she used to regularly babysit the child. He was maybe 2 or 3 years old at the time and was going through a phase that I'm sure many people are familiar with. He would pick up random things and present them to people. He would then say, "Take." He could get quite insistent. He was also going through some separation anxiety and would also say "back" when people would leave the room or house. One day they're in the living room, and he picks up a frisbee and walks to the corner of the room and proudly presents it to thin air. "Take," he crowded. Then he looked frustrated. "Take." Then he really starts to get upset, shaking the frisbee in front of him, stomping his feet, yelling, "Take! Take!" After a few moments, he turns towards the doorway leading into the main hallway, toddles in that direction until he's standing at the foot of the stairs. He starts crying, "Back! Back! Back!" Well, my sister said she whipped on her shoes and coat, and they immediately left the house, waiting for hours until her boyfriend's brother got home. Brinks302, maybe from Chicago. Well, okay then. I've heard many times that kids can see things that we adults cannot. So I, for one, think your sister may have made a very good decision. Thank you, Brinks, for your story. Our last story comes from another school experience. It was sent in by Randall Shield, who lives in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Randall has titled his story, The Haunted Washroom. Our school has an outside washroom on the grounds that no one uses. It's because it's not kept up and is quite dirty. However, it is a great place to hide out and a place where all the best crimes happen. I stopped going near the place after I was in the 6th grade, and here's why. Me and my boys thought we would give smoking cigarettes a try. It took a bit of trading, but we got enough smokes for all of us. So during recess, all 4 of us went to the place and did the deed. It tasted so bad that all 4 of us immediately threw the crap away, and so all that time and money went to waste. Skip forward a couple months later. I thought that maybe it tasted so bad because it was my first time, so I went back there to try again. After forcing myself to at least smoke half of it, I gave it up because it still tasted terrible. I was about to leave when I saw a kind of misty apparition in front of me which looked somewhat like the shape of a girl. At first, I thought it was just the smoke because it disappeared, but while walking out, I heard footsteps. When I turned back, I saw a girl in our school uniform. Her face was ghostly pale and wasn't quite human. I started walking faster, got out of that place, and never went back. Later, I learned that during the construction of the terrace on our second school building, 4 girls had secretly snuck up there during recess. They wanted a thrill and to enjoy the pleasant weather. All of them sat on the unprotected ledge so that they could look down at the kids playing below. While talking about random stuff, a big insect came out of nowhere. One of the girls got scared, lost her balance, and fell to her death. She landed right in front of that old washroom. Ron, I believe her soul is not at peace, and she definitely haunts that washroom. I'm 18 years old now, and I'm going to graduate this June. I never tried smoking again, and I've never been back to that washroom. The building is still there, but it's all boarded up now. I heard that there is a plan to demo the place and build a greenhouse. I hope the girl likes her new digs. Randall Shield, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Well, Randall, I have another thought on this one. Perhaps the girl also had something to do with the taste of your smokes. Who can say? Thank you for sharing your story. Well, that's it for this time. If you have a story that you want to share, head to the main website at ronsamazingstories.com. Click on the story submission banner, leave your story, give it a title, and please tell me where you're from. I'll read it if I can. Yes, it is Our Amazing Stories. But just what does that mean? We have segments for your stories, one for strange moments in history, and even one that plays clips from the golden age of radio to take us back in time. So what makes this segment different? Our Amazing Stories looks at people who did amazing things. So sit back and listen to this incredible tale.
Hey Ron, what is another word for amazing?
Well, there are so many. Why not look it up in Roget's book?
I could, but who is this Roget?
Peter Mark Roget was born in Soho, London in 1751. He studied medicine at the University of Edinburgh, graduating in 1798. Not making a quick start to a medical career, in 1802 he took the position as a tutor to the sons of John Leigh Phillips and began a tour of France with them. When the peace abruptly ended between France and the UK, he was detained as a prisoner in Geneva. He was able to bring his pupils back to England in late 1803, but Phillips was held in captivity until Napoleon fell in 1804. Roget then became a private physician and later succeeded Thomas Percival at the Manchester Infirmary. He ended his career lecturing on physiology. Roget retired from professional life in 1840, and by 1846 was working on the book that would change the world of literature forever, the now indispensable Thesaurus. It has been claimed that Roget struggled with depression for most of his life, and that the Thesaurus arose from an effort to battle it. He developed an abhorrence to dirt and disorder and an obsession with lists and counting. He showed all the hallmarks of what we today call obsessive-compulsive disorder. Joshua Kendall, in his biography of Roget, The Man Who Made Lists, concluded that the Thesaurus did more for Roget than for its millions of users across the centuries. The ultimate book of lists became his salvation. His obsession with list-making was well established by the time he was 8 years old. He began to maintain a notebook for words organized by meaning. This catalog was first printed in 1852, titled, get this, Thesaurus of English Words and Phrases classified and arranged as to facilitate the expression of ideas and assist in literary composition. Quite the title. But it was finally shortened to Roget's Thesaurus. During his lifetime, the work had 28 printings. After his death, it was revised and expanded by his son John Louis Roget and continues on to this day. But you already knew that. Roget described his Thesaurus in the foreword to the very first edition. Here's what he had to say about it, and I paraphrase. It is now 50 years since I first projected a system of verbal classification similar to that on which the present work is founded. Conceiving that such a compilation might help supply my own deficiencies, I had, in the year 1805, completed a catalogue of words on a small scale, but on the same principle and nearly the same form as the one you now have. May it guide you in your writings. Well, I for one would not have survived my education if not for the ingenuity, creativity, and stout-heartedness of one Peter Mark Roget. Thank you, Peter. Well, that's it for this edition of Our Amazing Stories. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas for stories for this segment or want to write one of your own, please let me know. I would love to work with you on the project and want to hear any ideas that you might have. Just use the contact page on the main website and we'll get it done. Thank you for listening to Our Amazing Stories. Philosophers maintain that if there is a universal truth, the language in which it will be expressed in is mathematics. No matter what culture or faith you're brought up in, it's hard to refute the facts when they are presented with mathematical precision. Math truly is a universal language, and sooner or later, a mathematician will figure out a way to measure and describe the human experience using the cold, hard figures of mathematics. Our featured story today comes from the classic radio series Philo Vance. Vance comes up against a con man whose game is to trick his marks using a simple math trick. But has he moved up to murder? We'll find out in the story, The Mathematical Murder Case. It first aired on March 14th, 1950.
You think you got the step now, Betty Lou?
Yeah. Only I'm not sure. Let's try it once more, Eddie.
Okay, I'll set the tempo. You come in after. Ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. Let's quit. You missed it again.
I'm sorry. I guess my brains aren't in my feet. Let's try it once more. I won't miss it this time.
Well, what's the use of trying it again? So you'll get it this time, you'll miss the next. I will never make it, Betty Lou. We might as well quit right now.
Quit?
Sure, quit.
Oh, no.
But what do you think this is, fun? Rehearsing in a joint with no mirror to watch ourselves, no piano, no nothing? Trying to teach you a sock routine when you can't even do a simple routine. What is this, fun?
Well, it isn't fun for me either, Eddie.
Well, right now I'm selfish. I'm worried about me. Right now you stay here and practice that routine. I'm going out for a sand.
Oh, bring me one, Eddie.
Get it yourself when you're finished.
Well, aren't you coming back?
I don't know. I ain't sure.
Maybe I better make up your mind for you. You're coming back, Eddie. And you aren't going to be too long either.
Well, what makes you think so?
I'm telling you. That's what makes me think so. Don't try to walk out on me, Eddie. It isn't smart and it isn't healthy.
Whoa, the sweet little gal's getting tough.
I used to be a sweet little gal before I met you. If I'm tough, you made me tough. So don't try walking out, Eddie. Just make sure you come back.
Or
the next dance you do is going to be at the end of a rope.
Hello, Eddie. Hi. What can I get you, Eddie?
Draw one for me. Black, Danny.
Sure, Eddie. Draw one for you, Black. How's your business, Eddie?
Why ask me?
Why ask you? Who else would I ask?
Okay.
Gee, Eddie, you've been up there in front of people, hoofing, listening to them applaud. That's living, Eddie. That's really living.
What happened to the coffee I ordered?
Coming up. How's Betty Lou? She all right? She sure is a swell kid. She's real show business, she is. Gee, how I wish I could be...
The coffee, Dan, the coffee.
Draw one in the dark. Sometimes at night, I kind of imagine this restaurant is a stage-like, and I'm only acting at being a waiter. I guess that's just another kind of dreaming, isn't it, Eddie?
Yeah, I guess. Look, Dan, I got a problem. Now, how about...
room at this table for one more?
Oh, hello, Joey. Sure, sit down.
Yeah.
I'll go get you your coffee, Eddie.
Hey, aren't you going to wait and see what I'll have?
You decide what you want. Yell it out yourself. You ain't in show business. I don't have to wait on you.
What a character that Dan is, huh, Joey?
Yeah, sure. Well, how's the dance team going, Eddie?
It's going bad. What's going with you?
Oh, I got a new little gimmick that's paying off kind of cute.
Oh?
Guy named Euclid taught it to me. Mathematical trick.
Euclid. Didn't he do a mind-reading act in vaudeville?
Euclid was a Greek.
Well, I think this guy I'm talking about was a Greek, too. He worked with a blackboard.
Euclid's been dead 1,000 years.
Oh. Couldn't be the same guy, then.
Yeah, nice figuring. Now, look, Eddie. I get a sucker to put any 3 numbers down on a hunk of paper. Then underneath them, he reverses a number and subtracts.
So?
Then he gives me the last number of his answer, and I bet him I can tell him the first 2.
Well,
everybody bets. Natch. They know I didn't look at their numbers, and I collect.
Well, you kidding? That's a cinch. All you gotta do...
Shut up. Shut up or I'll break your neck.
What's with you, Joey? All I was doing was telling you how that thing works.
Yeah, I know.
The guy used to do it in vaudeville and showed it to me. Any 3 numbers, you reverse them. Oh.
Shut up, Eddie. Stop wising up the suckers. I'm good for a couple of $100 a week betting guys on this gimmick. Don't spoil my racket or I'll spoil your kisser.
No, I'm sorry. I can't talk to him right now. Philo Vance is in my office. Tell him I'll call him back. Bye. I'm sorry, Vance. Where were we?
No reason to apologize, Markham.
Well,
any time a private investigator drops in to see the district attorney, he expects interruptions. We were discussing some complaints you said you'd been getting.
Oh, yes, of course. It seems that some people have called and mentioned a fellow named Joey Sanders who has a mathematical gimmick of some sort. You take any 3 numbers, reverse them, subtract, tell him the last number of the answer, and he tells you the first 2. How's that done, Vance?
Oh, it's very simple, Markham. In fact, there's a much cuter trick with 4 figures. You see, all mathematics is based on the figure 9. Now, remember...
I'll be right with you, Vance. I want to hear that. Hello, Markham speaking.
Hi, D.A. This is Heath, homicide.
Yes, Heath.
Got a murder, D.A.
Murder?
Fellow named Eddie Stone, a dancer.
What are the details?
He'd been knifed. Found him in a deserted section of town. No fingerprints, but we've got one clue. And I'm picking up a girl who was his dancing partner. Name's Betty Lou Taylor.
Uh-huh.
You want to come down and question her?
I'll meet you at your office in an hour. Philo Vance and I were just discussing a mathematical formula. I'm sure he'd much rather figure who killed Eddie Stone.
No, I don't know, Sergeant Heath. I tell you, I don't know who killed Eddie.
And I tell you, you do.
No.
Now, look, Miss Taylor, this is my job. This is my office. I'll keep you here with me all week if I have to.
Oh, please.
You know something about the murder of Eddie Stone, and I'm going to find out what it is.
I don't know anything about it. I danced with him, and that's all. I didn't kill him, and I don't know who did.
I know differently. You were at the scene of the murder. We know definitely you were there.
I wasn't. I wasn't near the place. I didn't know Eddie was dead until you came for me. Oh, please, leave me alone. I can't tell you anything I don't know.
Oh, hello, Mr. Markham.
Hello.
Hi, Vance.
Steve. This is the young lady who told me about on the telephone, Heath.
Yeah. She says she didn't even know the guy was killed. But what she really doesn't know is that we can put her right at the scene of the murder.
No.
How, Heath?
We found a girl's footprint right near the body. That's how. Now, footprint is the same size as this girl's shoe.
No.
No, she says. Yes.
Heath, that's hardly conclusive evidence. A footprint of a woman's shoe isn't completely incriminating.
This one is, D.A. This girl's a dancer. The footprint we found had a mark on the toe and the heel. You know what made that mark? Toe plates and heel plates.
Toe plates and heel?
Yeah, and who wears toe plates and heel plates?
Well...
Only a dancer. Now, Miss Taylor, will you still deny that you were at the scene of the murder?
Isn't it rather unusual for a dancer to wear her dancing shoes out in the street, Heath?
Well, you get...
No, Mr. Vance. Not if it's the only pair of shoes she has.
I was there.
Oh.
I saw Eddie's body after he was killed. We quarreled, and I went out looking for him, and I found him. Dead. I lied about it because I wanted to keep out of all this.
That's your story.
No.
You found him and you killed him.
No, I didn't.
There's no need of you wasting your time here, D.A. I'll have a confession out of this girl in an hour.
Vance? Well, apparently Heath doesn't care how I waste my time. I think I'll take a look into this case.
What for, Vance? I tell you this girl did it.
Perhaps. But maybe I don't care how I waste my time either, Sergeant Heath. Maybe if I spend a few hours, I can save the state a lot of trouble.
You mean all I have to do, Joey, is think of a card, and you'll tell me what the card is?
That's right.
You can't do it.
How much says I can't do it, Sam?
$1.
$1? Are you kidding?
No.
I wouldn't try to read a mouse's mind for $1. You make it 5, and I'll show you something that you never saw before in your life.
I never have to tell you the card. All I do is think of it, and you'll tell it to me.
$5 says I can do it.
Okay, you got it. I'm thinking of a card. What is it?
Oh, wait a minute. You're going too fast.
Okay.
Now, first, the card has a number on it, right?
Sure.
Take that number, double it.
Yep.
Add 1.
Got it.
Multiply it by 5.
5. Okay, I did it. What's my card?
Oh, wait a minute, pal. Relax. You got that number, right? Now, if your card's a club, add 6.
6.
If it's a diamond, add 7. If it's a heart, add 8. And a spade, add 9. Got that? All right. What's the total?
92.
Your card was the 8 of diamonds.
That's right. Hey, Joey, how'd you do it? Come on, tell me, how'd you do that? I'll give you $10 if you show me how it's done.
Are you kidding? Get lost. You dropped a fin to me. What do you want to do, live here the rest of your life? Now, come on, sucker, move out before I start. You tell anybody you were coming here?
No, I didn't.
Okay, stick tight. Who is it?
Mrs. Leeds, your landlady.
Oh, what do you want? My rent's paid.
Open the door, Joey, please.
Oh. Well?
Joey, why don't you be nice to me anymore? Why don't
Look, you, my rent's paid. You want me to move out when my week's up? I move out. What do you want up here?
Oh, Joey, don't be mean to me. I don't want you to move. I want you to stay here as long as you want. Oh, let me come in, Joey. Oh.
So finally you see that I got company, huh? Congratulations. What's keeping you here now?
Please come out in the hall. This is important.
Oh, okay. Wait here, Sammy.
Yeah.
Well, what is it that's so important?
Joey, Eddie Stone has been murdered. I just heard about it on the radio.
What makes you think that concerns me?
You don't have to talk like that to me, Joey. I wouldn't say anything, never.
Well, that's better.
Wild horses couldn't drag it out of me that you and Eddie had a fight today.
Eddie, you know about that, huh?
Sure, but I wouldn't say anything about it, Joey. I wouldn't say a word.
Okay. I'll get rid of the sap inside. Come back to see me in an hour.
Mike's Coffee Shop, Danny speaking.
Hello, this is District Attorney Markham.
District Attorney?
Yes, District Attorney. Look, is there a man in your shop named Philo Vance?
There isn't anybody in my place right now, Mr. Markham, not a soul.
Well, Vance is on his way there with a young lady named Betty Lou Taylor.
Betty Lou?
Yes. Do you know her?
Well, sure I know her. She's in show business, ain't she? If anybody's in show business, I know them, believe me.
Very well, I believe you. Now, look, this Miss Taylor has been released in Vance's custody.
Yeah?
I know they've gone to your shop. I want you to have Vance call the minute he comes in.
Sure thing, Mr. Markham, sure thing. Bye.
Danny.
Hey, Joey, you scared me. What's the idea of sneaking up on a guy when he's on a telephone? Gee, you scared me.
Danny, listen to me.
I'm listening to you, Joey, ain't I? I'm listening.
Okay. Keep your ears open and your trap shut, Danny.
Hey, quit it. You're bending my apron. I only just put it on.
Danny, anybody comes in here and asks if Eddie Stone and I had a fight this morning, you say we didn't. You hear?
Yeah.
Now get me. We didn't have any argument.
Sure you didn't. I didn't hear any argument. Of course, I saw you slug him twice, but...
You didn't see me clip him. You didn't see nothing.
You better cut it out, Joey. Somebody's coming in.
So this is the place where Eddie Stone used to hang out, Miss Taylor.
And that's Dan the waiter right there. Hello, Danny.
Hello, Miss Taylor.
Hi.
Gee, I was sorry to hear about them arresting you. If you ever need anything, if you ever need a friend to stand by you, just count on me.
Well, so long, Danny. I'll be seeing you.
Just a moment, my friend.
Huh?
My name is Philo Vance. Did you by any chance happen to know Eddie Stone?
Eddie Stone? Let me see. Yeah, I think I did. A dancer, wasn't he?
A dancer, wasn't he? He was the best dancer in show business. Present company accepted, of course, Miss Taylor.
Oh, thanks. This is Joey Sanders, Mr. Vance. He knew Eddie. He knows everybody.
Joey Sanders, I know that name.
Well,
You're the young man who's been the cause of a lot of complaints at the district attorney's office.
well, I'm flattered.
Something about swindling people with a mathematical trick. The very old 3-number routine.
Hey, that's no swindle. I bet I can't name the first 2 numbers in their answer. I bet I can. Sometimes they win, sometimes I win.
Yes, of course, I know. That trick is awfully old and completely foolproof. If you take any 3 numbers, reverse them, and subtract them, the answer will always have a 9 in the center, and the first and third numbers will add up to 9.
Oh, so that's how it's done.
Gee, no kidding. Gee, he's smart.
Thank you, Dan. Now, suppose Miss Taylor and I escort you over to that table there, Mr. Sanders, where we can talk.
About what?
Eddie Stone's murder. You see, I think I know who killed Stone.
Hey, Vance, that Dan. He's making a break for the door. Never mind, I'm nearer to him. I'll get him.
Joey's tackling Dan. Oh, no.
I got him, Vance. I think I knocked him out when I tackled him and his head hit the floor.
Yes, I imagine you did.
Well, I guess you owe me one now, Vance. You said you knew who killed Stone. Well, this Dan character made a break, and I grabbed him for you.
You most certainly did. But I don't think I owe you anything. I don't remember ever saying that Dan here was the man I thought murdered Eddie Stone.
What is there about this Dan that intrigues you, Vance?
A lot of things. First of all, I want to know why he tried to get out of that coffee shop when I said I knew the murderer of Eddie Stone.
Oh. Do you know who killed Stone?
No.
Believe me, it wouldn't surprise me if you did. Nothing you do surprises me anymore.
Sorry to hear that, Markham. However, I promise you won't be able to say that with any honesty very soon.
Won't I?
You know why I said I knew who killed Stone.
To see the reaction of Joey Sanders and Dan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this is the shop, and in one moment we'll be talking.
What? Vance, somebody threw this coffee cup through the window.
Somebody inside the shop. Come on, Markham.
I'm with you, Vance.
That's Dan, the waiter, over there with his head on the counter.
Yeah. What happened in here? What happened to...
My head,
Steady now.
head.
Dan. Remember me, Mr. Vance?
My head.
This is District Attorney Markham. We were outside when that coffee cup went through the window.
I threw it. A man wearing a handkerchief over his face was in here. He held me up, took the money out of the register. I threw the cup through the window, grabbed him.
Yes.
He hit me on the head with the gun and went out the back way.
Did you recognize him?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to think it over.
We'll report this to headquarters. One thing is certain, Vance. This holdup has nothing to do with the murder case we're working on.
Hasn't it, Markham?
I don't think so.
You said I couldn't surprise you anymore. Try this for a surprise. The holdup has a great deal to do with the murder, and will have a great deal more to do with solving it.
You don't like me, do you, Betty?
You really can read minds, can't you, Joe?
Hey, now, wait a minute. Take it easy. I didn't come over to hear you insult me.
Only way for you to stop that is to leave.
I got a business proposition for you, Betty.
No thanks.
But this is honest. Look what Eddie did. What are you going to do? You got to do something.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Now, this is what I got in mind.
Shoot.
I'll teach you card code. You stay here in your place, and I'll be out with the sucker.
Yeah?
I bet him I can dial a phone number, then have him show me a card, and the voice on the other end of the phone will say what that card is.
Huh?
This is how it works.
Yeah.
The phone rings, you answer it. Now, instead of saying hello, you say clubs, diamonds, hearts, well, till I stop you by saying hello.
Okay.
Now, right away, if I stopped you when you were saying hearts, you know the card the sucker's showing me is a heart.
Yeah. But how do I tell the number?
Well, as soon as you know the suit, you start to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. All the way up to the king.
I got you.
Now, when you get to the right number, I'll say, wait a minute, hand the phone to the sucker, and you tell him his card. It's a cinch. We'll clean up.
It isn't bad at that.
Hey, see what I told you? Now, aren't you glad I come over?
Sure. But you're not going to be so happy. I don't need you to work that gimmick with. All I need is some stooge to stand by a telephone.
You wouldn't kid around with me, Betty Lou.
No? Well, you wouldn't do anything about it, Joey. You wouldn't dare.
What?
The cops have it in for you right now, and I have an idea Philo Vance thinks you killed Eddie.
Well, maybe what you say is so. But all I gotta tell you, kid, is this.
What?
You try and use that code I taught you, and you'll get what your ex-partner got.
Joey, please.
Not now. Leave me alone,
Oh,
will ya?
Joey.
Ain't you got anything to do but follow me up these steps?
Please, Joey.
What doesn't run in this room and house keep you busy enough?
All right, Joey, all right.
Oh.
All I wanted to tell you was that there was a fella in your room. I let him in.
What? You did what?
I let him in. He asked for you, so I opened the door and let him wait.
What did he look like? Come on, talk.
Oh,
Tell
Joey.
me. Was he a tall fella, good-looking? Philo Vance?
Who?
Vance.
No, it was the same fella you had in here yesterday, the fella Sammy.
Oh, that's different. Look, I'll come downstairs when I'm through with him. Wait for me.
All right, Joey.
Hello, Sammy.
Hello, Joe. You don't mind me coming here, do you?
Well, all depends on why you're here.
Oh, Joey, listen, I've been a fall guy for you for a month now, betting you on things and always losing. Give me a chance to get my dough back.
How do you mean?
Well, show me how you do that thing where I think of a card, then you tell me to add and multiply and everything, and then you say what the card it is. Let me get my dough back from some other sucker.
Oh, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Well, go away, Sammy. Get lost. Not a chance.
But I
hope I'm interrupting something.
Vance, what do you want here?
I want to talk to you. Who's your friend?
You're a cop. I'm no friend of his. I just came here to get him to tell me how a trick was done so I could get some of my dough back.
Shut up, you.
What trick?
Tells me to think of a card, double it, add 1, multiply it by 5.
And if it's a club, add 6. A diamond, add 7. A heart, 8. And a spade, 9.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets me to tell him the total, and he tells me the card.
I'll teach you that. In fact, I think I'll give it to the newspapers so that nobody will ever bet it can't be done.
The things guys who got nothing to do think of.
Don't like that, do you?
Well, how's it done?
It's a mathematical formula. Whatever the total is gives you the card. If the total ends in a 1, the card is a club. If it ends in a 2, it's a diamond. 3, it's a heart, and 4, it's a spade.
Uh-huh. How do you find the figure?
Whatever the first number is, you subtract 1. Understand?
Oh.
In other words, if the total is 64...
The card is the 5 of spades.
Right.
Nice wising up a sucker, Vance. You could be thrown out of the union for that.
I know. Joey, I came here because I just learned about a fight you had with Eddie Stone the day he was killed.
Oh, Dan told you, huh? Okay, so I clipped him a couple of times. What'd you come up here for, to pay me back?
I better get out of here.
You stay.
Okay.
No, Joey, I didn't come here to slap you around, although I'd enjoy that very much.
Big talk.
I just want to warn you not to leave town, at least for the next few hours. After that, after I prove what I'm going to in that time, District Attorney Markham may have a specially prepared itinerary for you.
What time is it, Heath?
It's almost time, D.A. Pretty nearly. Another 30 seconds.
We've got to do this exactly on schedule. Vance left explicit instructions.
And after we do, then what?
Then we'll know who killed Eddie Stone, and what's more, we'll have proof.
20 seconds, D.A.
All right. You ready, Miss Henderson?
Yes, sir.
That secretary of yours is always ready, D.A. She's solid.
I hope that means something good.
It sure does. Okay, D.A., now.
Pick up the phone and make the call, Miss Henderson.
Yes, sir.
I sure hope this works.
I hope Vance doesn't get into trouble. We're miles away and can't help him.
Mike's Coffee Shop, Dan speaking.
Hello, Dan. This is Betty Lou Taylor.
Miss Taylor. Gosh, hello, Miss Taylor.
I have a cold and my voice may sound different, but Dan, I want you to meet me right away.
Well, gee whiz, what for?
Oh, for a lot of reasons. I think the police are going to figure out you staged the phony holdup in the store to get getaway money for yourself. I'm pretty sure they're going to know you killed Eddie.
What are you talking about? Betty Lou,
Yeah?
that was somebody pretending to be you.
What?
That's right. Somebody said they were you. How could they know I faked the holdup and that I killed Eddie?
That was the cops. The cops or Philo Vance.
It wasn't Philo Vance, my friends. I've been here all the time.
Vance, how'd you get here?
I've been in here for quite some time, hiding, of course.
What are you doing at that telephone? Who are you calling?
Nobody. And if you object to my being near the phone, I'll move away. There. That better?
What do you want, Vance?
You realize I heard enough of the conversation between you and Betty Lou while I was in hiding to know that you killed Eddie Stone, Dan.
Well, what if I did? Sure, I killed Eddie Stone and I faked the holdup.
Dan!
What's the difference if I tell him that? He knows it already. It isn't going to do him any good. What he knows and what he can prove are two different things.
What was the idea of that phone call, Vance?
It was a trap. I knew it would make you talk, and it did.
So you listen. Only it's our word against yours. See if you can prove I killed Eddie. Go ahead.
I don't have to prove it, Dan. You've done it already.
Oh, yeah?
The district attorney has your confession in your own words.
What do you mean?
Let's get down to see him, and you can hear yourself confess to murder.
They couldn't hear me just now. I hung up the phone myself.
Yeah, that connection was broken when Dan hung up.
Was it? In that case, suppose you come down to Markham's office and find out how he heard Dan confess. Throw the switch on that playback machine, Markham. I want to hear this before I bring Dan and Betty Lou in here.
Certainly, Vance. Here's the part you want.
Well, what if I did? Sure, I killed Eddie Stone, and I faked the holdup.
Dan!
What's the difference if I tell him that? He knows it already. It isn't going to do him any good. What he knows and what he can prove are two different things.
Turn
What
it
was the
off,
idea of that
Markham.
phone call, Van?
Well, there's his confession in his own voice, Vance, just as you promised.
Yes, there it is.
Now, why did he kill Stone?
Well, he idolized Betty Lou. She probably goaded him into killing Stone and was threatening to walk out on her.
Yes?
She even went along to see that the job was done. That's why her footprint was at the scene of the murder.
You never forgot that, did you, Vance?
No, I knew it was important all the time. But I had to resort to a trick to get the proof we needed.
I still don't understand how you got Dan to confess in front of a telephone connected with this office so we could record his words.
He didn't know I had taken the phone off the hook, Markham. And even if he did know it, he wouldn't have realized that the connection between this office and the coffee shop wasn't broken just because he had hung up.
I wouldn't have realized it either.
In order for a connection to be broken, both parties have to disconnect. Try it sometime and see.
Oh.
The connection must be discontinued at both ends.
If you say so, it's so, Vance. And the only end I'm interested in right now is that this is the end of the mathematical murder case.
Now, there was a lot of math stuff in that one, and if you work it all out, it's actually true, which made the whole thing kind of fun. Philo Vance was the creation of S.S. Van Dyne. The series begins with the Benson murder case in 1926, and a total of 12 mysteries were written through 1939. The novels were very successful and went on to be movie and radio classics. William Powell played him in 4 films in the 1920s and 30s. 3 radio dramas were created with Philo Vance as the title character. The first was broadcast by NBC in 1945, starring Jose Ferrara. Next, there was a summer replacement series in 1946, starring John Emery. The best-known series, and the one which you heard today, ran from 1948 to 1950, starring Jackson Beck. This was the very best of the bunch, and almost all of them are still around on the Internet archives. The most recent Philo attempt was a 1974 TV series that was a monstrous failure. There were only 6 episodes made, and they starred Giorgio Albarazzi. How about that? Hard to believe, but that was episode 589. I want to thank Apple Sharon, Brinks 302, and Randall Shield for your stories today. They were some good stuff. If you want to follow the podcast or the blog, head to ronsamazingstories.com. There you will find any of the links I mentioned and how to contact us. Do you want to help the show? The best thing you can do is to tell your friends all about it, and please leave reviews or feedback wherever you listen. Clicking that follow or like button helps us grow. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come again to find out what are Ron's Amazing Stories.